What's up, everybody? So, the Iron Hand supplement book has been out for a bit now, and I've been thumbing through my copy when I've had the time and everything. And I want to kind of give an initial thoughts ramble on this supplement book because I'm a fan of the Iron Hands. And there are reasons why I ultimately didn't collect them, and I have to say those reasons might not exist or be much fewer in existence, or not exist at all. Like I said, it had this book been if I started collecting now, versus or this was around back in the day. If this was around back in the day, I'm not talking Primaris. The special character doesn't have to be Primaris. He could just, for argument's sake, been a normal guy back in the day or whatever. My point is, if we had supplement books back in the day and stuff like this when I first got involved in the 40k, Dark Angels might be up against a bit more serious competition amongst the Space Marine chapter department. That's all I'm saying. Because I do really enjoy the Iron Hands, and there are reasonings, though. And I won't get into it here why I don't collect them. So, when I saw supplement books were coming back, I knew the first one I wanted to get was the Iron Hands to kind of experience the 8th edition supplement situation. So, real quick, just generic supplement stuff. If you've owned a 6th edition supplement, I had Farsight Enclave, for example. If you owned one from 6th edition, the layout's virtually identical. That's because it's laid out like a mini codex in a way. It is fluff in the beginning, with the special character fluff at the end of that fluff. Then the middle section is the model showcase, and then the end is the rules. Very straightforward, very simple to follow. If you're worried about that, nothing to worry about. If you own a codex, you have an idea. If you own a supplement book, you definitely have an idea. Case closed. Very simple. This is for the Iron Hands chapter. Iron Hands had a supplement back in the day called Clan Raucan that highlighted specifically third company of them, but in my opinion, while it highlighted third company, I believe the spirit of that book was to showcase Iron Hands just overall. It just did it through third company. So now you have no excuse or perceived excuse to not use it if you are collecting a different company. With all that said, they did a really good job with this supplement book. They really highlighted all the companies with different Iron Captain names and everything, and just really, the name of the, the name of their, what's what I'm looking for? Their Iron Captains, their Father of Iron, which is in their Ecclusium. We know the name of the Voice of the Council, Cardin Stronos. We've known that for a while. Some familiar names, some new names. Just in general, really breaks down the fluff very well for the Iron Hands. Supplement books are to codices like sauce is to chicken wings. I'm using chicken wings as a reference because I like chicken wings and I'm getting hungry, I guess. This little analogy, doesn't matter if you eat them or not, you know about chicken wings. There's different sauce out there for them. You don't need sauce on a chicken wing. I get this. Let's move past that. The point is, sauce, seasonings, whatever, are out there because it's meant to enhance the chicken wing. You don't, hopefully not just drinking the sauce. So I'm sure you could, but hopefully you're not. I don't know if that's good for you. Anyways, you have your wing, and the sauce is there to enhance the flavoring and the everything of the wing. That's what a supplement book is doing for a codex, and I really hope that future codices, where it makes sense to do this, not just for outside of the Imperium, Xenos and stuff, get this treatment. I hope that if we get a second edition printing of the Necrons, for example, that they get the successor tactics treatment and supplement book treatment. And I hope that is true for any other codex where it makes sense. Doesn't really make sense in my opinion for the Dark Angels. Doesn't make sense for the Custodians or the Death Watch, but where and on some other codex, he's not going to list them all. Like Grey Knights doesn't make sense for either, but and there's some others. But where it does make sense, I hope they get that treatment as well, because those are two great treatments to further enhance the book for people and supplement books. So with all that said, the Iron Hands are really techy. I love tech in my sci-fi. One of the big issues with the Imperium is their tech stagnation and kind of superstitious nature with it. I'm not saying the Iron Hands don't exhibit that as well, but they also push. They're at the very limit of boundary of what would be considered taboo or even heretical with tech and everything, and I think that's awesome. Really like that about them. So you get plenty of fluff on them when it comes to their capabilities of warfare, what they fought against, sample battles, even the Morai or I mean, Moray, schism, however you want to pronounce that, all well and good. Um, the successors, Sons of Medusa, Red Talons, Brazen Claws, and Iron Lords, are showcased in the model showcase. One or two models each, but that's great because in the standard Space Marine Codex, when you go to each chapter and then it showcases their successors, successors, not successors, but successors. There we go. Um, are showcased only in art, right? It's like a sample intercessor or whomever model, not model. That's the problem. It's not a model. It's just a successor art piece of an intercessor or whomever that is colored to be in that successor color scheme. And it's helpful. It definitely dials you in. But having an actual model in the model showcase, even if it's just one painted up, is that much more of a boon to you because now you get to see the actual physical paint on a model. And as long as you buy paint of equivalent coloration, you should achieve similar results. Of course, to the degree of quality, it depends on our quality as painters. But my point is, you get to see how the coloration looks for realsies on a model, and you get to see what they do in terms of accent colors and other little accent detail pieces, and it just gives you that much more of an understanding and that much more of really inspiration at times for if you want to collect that yourself. Great to see that in the model showcase. It's not just Iron Hands. They did take the time to showcase a model or two for their successors, so that's great. When it comes to rules and everything, Iron Father Phyros, who has a great philosophy, the way he views himself as an Iron Hands, the whole Iron Hands philosophy when it comes to bionic augmentation and cybernetic enhancement, is how I view it, in a way, or how I would view it, I guess, if I was a Space Marine. So that's really great. Not going to get too much further there. I think his fluff's really cool. His stat line, his war gear and everything, fantastic. We've kind of known about this. His model is awesome. So he is the soul of the chapter. He is that one data card or data sheet, you could say, in here. There's nothing special squad-wise or anything else in here. I think one gripe, you could say, and I'm kind of nitpicking, is maybe not. It doesn't have to be anything different, but because we don't need a whole new unit kit. But maybe if they had some type of special Iron Hands unit, something special, maybe Gorgon Terminators. I get it. The Terminator armor is very rare for them. They lost most of it at the Job Site Massacre or whatever. But if they had something to represent like their shooting Terminator squad, just with extra rules on it, so you can take this in place of taking a Terminator squad, or take this squad in place of taking a Devastator or something, and it had a little bit of extra rules. Iron Hands, just a little bit. That's the only thing I think that could really have knocked this up a notch to just truly being out of the in orbit, is if they had a special unit that only Iron Hands would have, and it really showcased their bionicness. And again, it doesn't need to be represented via a kit. It could just be it's a Devastator squad that has extra rules, and you can call it like the Immortal Devastator squad or the Gorgon Terminator squad or whatever. That would have been fantastic. That's the only gripe. In terms of this section, it's literally just this special character, a special unit that isn't anything super crazy that would require a kit would have been great. But outside of that, it's a very good codex. We're going to be a little long-winded here in this ramble, but that's okay. We have stratagems, we have warlord traits, tactical objectives, all within the theme of the Iron Hands and their way of doing warfare. Their stratagems really help also showcase their tech savviness, which is cool. And we have their Psyker discipline, which is the Technomancy discipline. I love any setting that has something Techno-Arcana, Technomancy, Technocratic, whatever it is. I'm an instant fan of it. I just love that stuff. So having Technomancy as a discipline, it's really cool. It's just a name really for what they're doing, and their stuff is kind of in theme with it, but it's still just cool. It doesn't matter. You can look at it and say, well, whatever, Machine Flens is just this but with a different name. Yeah, but because it has a different name that's cooler to me, it instantly becomes a cooler ability. So that's how it works. But anyways, my other, I would say, genuine gripe isn't for the Iron Hands supplement specifically, but it's just showcased again in here. So my one little nitpick gripe for the Iron Hands is that it would be cool to see an Iron Hand special unit that is just a special Devastator or a special Terminator or a special whatever squad, just whatever special name, and then that type of squad. So what, like I said, the Immortal Devastator squad or whatever. Have it be a Devastator squad, same rules in terms of our same basic setup as a Devastator squad with an extra rule or two in there, and and have it state you only can take one of these squads or whatever. That would have been awesome. But as far as a genuine gripe, if you will, which has nothing to do with the Iron Hands and everything to do with keywords, rears its head yet again in this book. And I have to imagine it's similar in all the other supplement books as well. So we have the relic section, and we have Relics of Medusa, and then we have Special Issue War Gear. And they're broken up like this because the successors, if you're playing a successor, you have your keyword, your faction keyword is not Iron Hands, but whatever the successor is. And if that's the case, then you don't get access to the Relics of Medusa normally. You only have access to the Special Issue War Gear, of which there's 8. And there's 4 generic ones, and I think 4 specific ones. Now, this is where anybody who owns the Ultramarines or the whatever other supplement book for Space Marine Codex that you might own could really help me out here in the comment section. So the 4 generic ones are Adamantine Mantle, Artificer Armor, Mastercrafted Weapon, or Digital Weapons. If these sound familiar, that's because they've been a staple of the Space Marine Codex for many editions now. They become relics, but special issue War Gear relics, so generic relics that any supplement book can take, it seems. Because I do remember Artificer Armor coming up in one of the kind of like errata FAQ publications that was talking about it with the Ultramarine supplement book, and well, we see it here as well, Artificer Armor. So there you go. But yeah, I have to imagine those 4 are universal regardless. So when the Imperial Fist and Salamanders books come out, they'll have those 4. Whatever happens to Crimson Fist and Black Templars, I imagine they'll have these 4 as well. It's the other 4. Auto Medicaid Bionics, fairly straightforward. Teeth of Mars is a chainsword. Haywire Bolts is bolt or ammunition. Fortress Pattern Data Spike is for Attack Marine. These 4, I have to imagine, are unique to the Iron Hands book, but generic enough so it's for this, so successors can take it, and it's not tied down to being from Medusa or whatever else. So it lets you kind of have a lot of open-endedness there. B, the same exact thing that's in the other Codex supplement books, which I highly doubt. Or C, similar to but renamed, which is kind of like B, but with a different name, which I'm more okay with and would make a little more sense. But I don't know. Maybe you don't have a chainsword in the White Scar one. I have no idea because I don't own one yet. I'll eventually get another supplement book and then I can cross-reference it myself. But if you own one of the other supplements, do you have Automatic Bionics, Teeth of Mars, Haywire Bolts, or the Fortress Pattern Data Spike? Do you have nothing for a Tech Marine in there? Because it feels like these are 4 generic enough things, but it's still kind of in the context of Iron Hands. So it's not only Iron Hands, it's just techie stuff that successors can take access to or have access to, which might be the case. And if that's the case, and these 4 are different in every supplement book, then kudos to GW for doing that, because a special issue Warrior could have been just generic and just copy and pasted. And even if you have all these same things under a different name, it's still a bit of kudos, because they're at least making it feel thematically a bit more along your lines, not just being super generic. Now, I said normally, right, for successors, because you can take a stratagem which allows you to take a relic of Medusa. And this is because, as we know, there is no rule advantage. Like, the Axe of Medusa doesn't become triple effective because it's not in the hands of an Iron Hands or anything like that. We know that. But the Axe of Medusa, the Aegis Ferrum, the Mind Forge, Betrayer's Bane, the Ironstone, the Tempered Helm, and the Gorgon's Chain are all only for Iron Hands. And I get it. This is a case where trying to represent fluff, I think, works against you a little bit. Because, yeah, theoretically, Betrayer's Bane, maybe only one in existence is in the Iron Hands clutches. and therefore you wouldn't see it amongst the Red Talons or whomever else. But at the same time, and in the same vein, and this is also like the same thing with special characters and the like, I believe in the Holy Counts as, right? It was a big part of GW and still kind of is to a degree, forever, or for a long, long time. And I just feel like if you're playing a successor, you shouldn't be quote unquote penalized. Now, is this really being penalized to the point where you feel like you're being held back? Probably not. However, because relics aren't required, relics and special characters are not required to win at all. I've had many a game that I played back in the day where I had neither, and I did just fine. So it's not a requirement. But it's like the chicken wing scenario, it adds further flavor. And with all that said, I'm a big believer in counts as. If somebody wanted to play Sons of Medusa and they convert up their own special character, counts as Phyros, and they had somebody else wielding the axe of Medusa, I would be 100% A-okay with that. No problems found for me. However, I'm not everybody, and I understand that's definitely a case for people to make a stink and therefore ruin the experience. And those are people you don't want to play against. But anyways, we get right down to it. What is a successor chapter or a successor force or something like that, akin to that? Other Tau Sep worlds and the like, right? Obviously, we have rulings for that now, just like dynasties with dynastic codes. But at the end of the day, what these things are, and we'll keep it to successor chapters just for this example for ease of talking about it. At the end of the day, what they are at their most basic level and what they basically start off as for the most part, is a palette swap. There are plenty of official GW Space Marine chapters out there. There are known or unknown successors of somebody that we just know in name. And there are plenty we know in name and color scheme. And that's it. And there are others, of course, plenty of which we have some fluff to a great deal of fluff on, depending upon their popularity and use in stories and whatnot. So it definitely runs the full gambit. But at the very core of it, at the very beginning, they're just palette swaps, right? We have the first founding forces, those first founding Legion forces. Everything else is some type of copy because they are successors of those first founding forces. They're just palette swaps. Angel of Vengeance of the Dark Angels is a palette swap with fluff attached to it now, and more fluff attached to it now than in the past. The reason I'm harping on this is because I feel if you want to do the palette swap thing, because maybe black armor is just not what you want to paint up, you feel maybe it's too boring for you, you want the challenge of doing the Brazen Claws corded scheme, or you made up your own successor, right? Just because you're doing that, I feel you should not be theoretically hampered in some way because of that, if you're trying to represent basically a counts as force like that. So if you really like the Iron Hands way of doing things, like their color scheme or some of the fluff just isn't for you, but another official force is, or you made it up in your own, and you want to do a counts as version of Iron Hands at that point, I feel you shouldn't be penalized to do that. And we have the whole workaround where you can choose a first founding chapter tactic if you take that successor, right? Legacy of the Primarch. Then we have this workaround, and you do that, and now you take Bequeathed by the Iron Council, and you can take a relic. It seems like unnecessary additional steps to go from point A to point B, right? I just feel like cut that out and let's just go with it. Is it quote unquote the closest to the fluff, most fluffiest thing? No, but it hardly kills it either. I mean, it's fine. The Axe of Medusa, they could call it the I don't know, the Axe of Morai or whatever for the Sons of Medusa, and it could still be the same exact thing. It's not like it's got some ridiculously crazy powerful, only a Primarch could have made this style of rule. It's just a cool bit of fluff, an interesting name, and it gives you some interpretation to convert it up. So it doesn't make or break anything. And again, if you were playing against me and you did a pure counts as, you didn't bother with taking that stratagem, you didn't, or whatever else, and you made up your own special character, Phyros maybe, or whatever too, your counts as version of him, more power to you. Let's have a fun game. That's how I view it. And that's why I think that at least the relics should be handled in this supplement book and every supplement book. I have to imagine the Ultramarines probably has something similar in terms of their relics and some similar stratagem, I would think. I don't know. This could be a unique stratagem for the Iron Hands. I don't know. I just feel like that's something they would include in all supplement books with a different name. Maybe, maybe not. Again, you can share that in the comment section if you own one of the other supplement books. Anyways, long story longer. A nice supplement book. Those are my initial thoughts. I harped on the whole keyword thing with the relics because it's always left a bad taste in my mouth. Even though you have a quasi workaround here, it just feels unnecessary, to be honest, to have that set up. So, share your thoughts on that or whatever. You don't have to in the comment section. If you own the supplement book for the Iron Hands, what are your thoughts? Is that what you're playing? Did you buy it and decide, nah, I'll go somewhere else? That's fine too. I know the Iron Hands, a lot of people have been singing the Iron Hands tune or the Iron Hands blues because of their calculated fury and stuff and everything else. So I understand they've become kind of popular with that, more so than in the past. But they're still, I've always liked them. They're always cool. I don't feel anything's overpowered. I don't feel anything's underpowered yet that I've seen. So that was my 2 cents for all of that. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I do not own any of the other Space Marine supplement books yet. I do want to get the other ones. I don't know which one I would get next. I'm not sure yet. I also don't have a timetable on when I'm going to be able to get another one. Just time and everything. You know, they're a want versus a need. In a hobby that's already a want versus a need, so it gets lower priority. But we'll see. We don't know what the future brings, but I will definitely be getting more at some point later on. So thanks very much for sticking through this long-wittedness. I know I talk a lot, I go off on tangents, but that's what I've been doing here for a long time now, so welcome. Anyways, any questions, comments, or requests, you can leave them in the comment section. Hit that subscribe button if you want to be part of future conversations, and until next time, take it easy.